Baseball, for many, is the ultimate gentleman's game, a sport steeped in tradition, bound by a code of honor, and governed by a strict sense of fair play. But sometimes that clean image cracks, and the ballpark turns into a battlefield. The rules? Disregarded. The spirit of sportsmanship? Completely forgotten. And what unfolds next is total mayhem. From bat flips that sent pitchers into a fiery rage to bench-clearing brawls that erupted faster than you can blink, these are the wildest, most infamous 0% sportsmanship moments in MLB history. Hold on tight, because things are about to get unruly. Jose Batista's bat flip. If there's one moment etched into the history of baseball controversy, it's the bat flip. Not just any bat flip. Jose Batista's dramatic, heart-stopping launch during Game 5 of the 2015 ALDS between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Texas Rangers. This wasn't just a gesture, it was a moment that split the baseball world into two camps, those who loved it and those who wanted Batista's bat to land back in his hands, preferably after being thrown by a pitcher. It was the bottom of the seventh inning, and the score was tied 3-3 when Batista stepped up to the plate with two men on base. Texas pitcher Sam Dyson threw a pitch right over the heart of the plate. Batista swung, and boom! He hit a monstrous 3-run homer, but it was what came next that sent shockwaves far beyond that stadium. Batista didn't just jog around the bases with a humble head. No, he launched his bat like he was sending it into orbit. The bat flip instantly became a symbol of new-school baseball, flashy, emotional, and unapologetic. But not everyone was on board. Old-school purists saw it as disrespect, a slap in the face to the unwritten rules of baseball. Dyson, the pitcher, wasn't too thrilled either. After the homer, he threw behind the next batter, sparking a series of heated exchanges that would carry into the next season. That bat flip wasn't just an expression of victory, it was a dagger to the heart of every pitcher who believed in the sacred, unwritten rules of baseball. While Batista's bat flip divided the baseball world, the next incident ignited a different kind of war, one where fists replaced bats. Beanball Wars. Pedro Martinez hitting Gerald Williams. Beanballs are a tactic as old as the game itself, those sneaky, intentional fastballs aimed squarely at the batter's body. A not-so-subtle way of saying, you've crossed the line. They're like baseball's secret handshake, but instead of a friendly tap, it's a fastball with a side of vengeance, and it isn't exactly listed in the rulebook. It's been a tool for pitchers for generations, and in 2000, Pedro Martinez added his name to the list of pitchers who took revenge to a whole new level. It was a tense game between the Boston Red Sox and the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. The atmosphere was charged, and Pedro Martinez, he was in no mood to back down. As Rays outfielder Gerald Williams stepped up to the plate, already rattled from earlier scuffles, Pedro decided to send a message. He launched a fastball straight at Williams, hitting him squarely and sending him staggering. This wasn't just a wild pitch, it was a statement. Enraged, Williams charges the mound and chaos erupts as both benches clear. Punches fly, tempers flare, and in an instant, baseball isn't a game anymore. It's a battlefield. And this wasn't a one-off incident, it was part of an escalating beanball war. Pedro was just one of many pitchers using this tactic to send a chilling message. Mess with me, and you'll pay the price. It's a high-stakes game of chicken that keeps fans on the edge of their seats. But this moment was nothing compared to what happens when a young player made the mistake of charging a seasoned legend. Nolan Ryan versus Robin Ventura. In 1993, one of the most infamous brawls in MLB history took place, and it was a showcase of terrible sportsmanship on all sides. Nolan Ryan, the then 46-year-old Texas Rangers pitcher, drilled 26-year-old Robin Ventura with a pitch, and what followed wasn't just a fight, it was an outright embarrassment for the sport. Ventura, clearly fed up, made the rash decision to charge the mound. Now, most would assume he thought he was squaring off against an aging veteran who might be easy to handle, but surprise, charging Nolan Ryan was like running at a brick wall, and Ventura found that out the hard way. Ryan grabbed Ventura and delivered a barrage of punches to the young player's head, completely overpowering him. Sure, emotions run high in baseball, but this wasn't exactly a moment for the highlight reel. It was a brutal display of immaturity from both players. Ventura's decision to charge showed a lack of restraint, and Ryan's violent reaction, well, that was hardly a lesson in class. Both men crossed the line, turning a tense moment into an all-out brawl that's now infamous in MLB lore. This wasn't about defending your honor. It was a glaring example of how quickly bad sportsmanship can spiral out of control. And yet, ironically, it's also what makes this moment unforgettable. It's a reminder that in baseball, tempers can flare, but sometimes players forget what the game is really about. But if you thought that bat flips and beanballs were bad, just wait until we dive into the scandals that shattered the integrity of the game. You won't believe how far some teams went to win. The sign-stealing scandals. In the long history of MLB, few scandals have caused as much uproar as the 2017 Houston Astros sign-stealing mess. This wasn't just a sneaky player trying to gain an edge. This was a full-blown conspiracy that rocked the sport to its core. And the scale? Absolutely jaw-dropping. Here's how it went down. The Astros, the same team that took home the World Series trophy that year, orchestrated a complex scheme to steal signs from opposing teams. They set up cameras in the outfield to zoom in on the catcher's signals. Then they relayed that information back to the dugout, where players banged on a trash can to signal what pitch was coming next. That's right, a trash can was the secret weapon behind a World Series win. Let that sink in. But the Astros weren't the only team bending the rules. Soon after, the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees found themselves tangled in similar accusations. The Red Sox were caught using video replay rooms to decode signals, while the Yankees faced scrutiny for their own version of high-tech cheating. Suddenly, it seemed like no team was clean. What's really insane is how far cheating had evolved, from old-school tricks like tipping pitches to high-tech spy game straight out of a thriller movie. Instead of smoke signals, we're talking secret cameras, algorithms, and trash can drummers. This wasn't just a violation of the rulebook, it was a betrayal of trust. In a game built on fair play, these teams were rewriting the playbook to get an unfair advantage. The Astros scandal blew the lid off an era of deception in baseball, a reminder that sometimes the thirst for victory leads teams down a dark, dangerous path, often at the expense of sportsmanship. But if you thought that was bad, wait until you hear about one of the most explosive meltdowns in MLB history. The Pine Tar Incident. If there's one image that perfectly captures a player losing it on the diamond, it's George Brett's legendary meltdown during the Pine Tar Incident of 1983. This was more than just a temper tantrum, it was a full-blown explosion that forever burned itself into baseball lore. Brett, the Kansas City Royals star, belted what looked like a game-winning home run against the Yankees. It was supposed to seal the deal. But then chaos erupted. The Yankees manager, Billy Martin, noticed something odd and called for a review of Brett's bat. The umpires huddled, examined the bat, and they ruled it had too much pine tar on it. According to the rulebook, that made Brett's home run illegal, and just like that, his game winner was wiped off the board. But that wasn't the story. The real drama came when Brett, furious, shocked, livid, charged out of the dugout like a man possessed. His face was pure rage, his fists clenched, and his eyes burning. He looked like a guy who had just had his heart ripped out in front of a stadium of fans. He lunged at the umpires, screaming, with a fury that had everyone in the ballpark on the edge of their seats. Brett's meltdown became an instant highlight reel. It wasn't just about the pine tar, it was about a star player feeling robbed in the most humiliating way. It was a moment that reminds us how fragile the line is between competition and chaos, how quickly sportsmanship can crumble when emotions explode. Brett's tantrum was baseball at its most raw, where rules, pride, and passion collided in unforgettable fashion. But George Brett's meltdown, while epic, was just one chapter in a long history of players pushing the limits. Next up, the bad boy of baseball himself, Manny Machado. The Manny Machado drama. When it comes to trouble on the diamond, Manny Machado has earned his title as baseball's ultimate bad boy. Over the years, he's been at the center of some of the sport's dirtiest plays and most controversial moments, each one adding another layer to his notorious reputation. Machado isn't exactly shy about his approach to the game. In fact, in a 2018 interview, he flat out said he wasn't Johnny Hustle and didn't feel the need to run down every play hard. Talk about unapologetic, but that wasn't the worst of it. Fast forward to the 2018 NLCS, where Machado once again made headlines for all the wrong reasons. This time, it was for a seemingly innocent play at first base, until it wasn't. While running to first, Machado stepped on the ankle of Jesus Aguilar, the Brewers' first baseman. The contact was too deliberate to ignore, and Aguilar was furious. The benches cleared, players rushed in, and chaos erupted as tempers flared. "It's a dirty play by a dirty player," said Brewers' Christian Yelich, summing up the feelings of almost everyone watching. Aguilar, for his part, couldn't believe Machado's actions, saying, "I've known Manny for years, and I don't know why he'd act like that." Machado, of course, played it off, insisting it was unintentional, saying, "If that's dirty, then call it what you want." But let's be honest, this wasn't his first run-in with controversy. His oops moment had piled up over the years, cementing his legacy as a player who plays right on the edge of sportsmanship. And sometimes, he crosses that line. Machado's actions are the kind that make you wonder, where does competition end and dirty play begin? But Machado wasn't the only instigator in recent history. Up next, we dive into one of the most infamous personalities to ever stir the pot. AJ Pierzynski's infamous fight. If there was ever a player who seemed to thrive on chaos, it was AJ Pierzynski. Known for his fiery attitude and unapologetic style, Pierzynski wasn't just one of the most successful players in MLB, he was also one of the most disliked. His abrasive, in-your-face approach made him a magnet for conflict, and in 2006 he etched his name into the history of baseball brawls during one unforgettable game. It was a crosstown rivalry between the Chicago White Sox and the Chicago Cubs at US Cellular Field. Pierzynski, the White Sox catcher, charging home to score on a sacrifice fly, collided with Cubs catcher Michael Barrett. The hit was clean by the book, but what followed was anything but chaos. After the collision, Pierzynski, never one to miss a moment to stir the pot, dramatically slapped home plate with both hands, sending a message that this run was his. Barrett, clearly not amused by Pierzynski's flair for the dramatic, sent his own message, a right hook to Pierzynski's face, and just like that, the brawl was on. Both benches erupted, players rushed the field, fists flying, bodies clashing. It was pure pandemonium. And at the heart of it all, a grinning AJ Pierzynski, looking like a man thriving in the chaos he had sparked. For Pierzynski, it wasn't just about scoring runs, it was about getting under your skin and watching the fireworks explode. The brawl ended with both Pierzynski and Barrett suspended, but the legacy of that infamous fight? It became a defining moment in Pierzynski's long history of pushing the limits and sparking conflict. While he was undoubtedly a competitor, you couldn't help but wonder, did Pierzynski enjoy causing chaos just a little too much? Just when you thought rivalries were bad, sometimes the real battles happen inside the dugout. Teammates turning on each other? It doesn't get uglier than this. Bryce Harper versus Jonathan Papelbon. Teammates are supposed to have each other's backs, especially in the heat of the battle, right? Well, in 2015, the Washington Nationals taught us a lesson in what happens when that goes horribly wrong. Bryce Harper and Jonathan Papelbon are the dynamic duo that showed the world what happens when teamwork completely collapses. Harper, the future NL MVP, had just popped up a pitch and jogged to first base. Pretty standard stuff, but to Papelbon, known for his short fuse and dramatic outbursts, Harper's jog was unacceptable. To him, it was pure laziness, and Papelbon wasn't about to let it slide right in front of everyone. What should have been a quick private conversation about effort turned into one of the most shocking teammate altercations ever seen in MLB. Papelbon went from closer to combatant in a split second. In front of a packed stadium and a national TV audience, he grabbed Harper by the throat and slammed him into the dugout wall. The scene was unbelievable. Instead of a routine game, fans watched in horror as the Nationals' dugout turned into a wrestling ring. Forget sportsmanship, this was an all-out brawl. And it wasn't aimed at the other team, it was aimed at their own MVP. Papelbon's actions earned him a suspension for the rest of the season, but the damage was already done. The altercation exposed a massive crack in the team dynamic, and fans couldn't help but wonder, how do you move forward after choking your MVP in front of millions? The answer? The 2015 Nationals didn't. They failed to make the playoffs, but they did leave behind a lasting legacy of dysfunction and one of the ugliest moments of 0% sportsmanship in MLB history. So, there you have it, some of the most infamous moments of 0% sportsmanship MLB history. What moment made you want to throw your remotes at the TV? Which fight or meltdown had you shaking your head in disbelief? And most importantly, what did we miss? We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and join the conversation. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling baseball updates and give this video a thumbs up. We'll catch you in the next one.